Hi guys, Macy Lou here. Welcome back to Wild Approach. In this video, I'm going to attempt to give you a garden tour. Today is March, I forget what the date is. It's Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. So as you can see, the gate is currently not up because we have been working on it. We need to repaint it and there needed to be a little bit of repairs, minor repairs on it. So we ended up actually taking it completely apart. So it's being worked on. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to start here. So this is called Gate Garden. Gate Garden has a viburnum in the middle and it has several perennials around it. Now right now it has a lot of these winter weeds that we get, like henbit and creeping Charlie and things like that. This is creeping Charlie. And the viburnum is arrowwood viburnum, and there's some bee balm around it. You can see the wild bergamot, that's Monarda fistulosa, and there's some non-native irises around the edge. That's just to create like an edging. And I have other things in here, but they're not coming up yet because it's too early. Like I have liatris in here. There's a plum in here. It's starting to leaf out. But I want you to see the vine. So this is coral honeysuckle. This vine is beloved by the hummingbirds. And right now it is just starting to bloom, but I'll probably have to show you that when we walk into the garden because it's hard to see from the outside. And so if I come around here, you can see I also have this vine here. This is Carolina jessamine, or Carolina jessamine is the way I like to word it. Hold for wind. Okay, Carolina jessamine, you can see it all the way through there. It is semi-evergreen. It's mostly evergreen for us, but when we get some bad freezes, it can kind of die back a little bit, but it comes back from the base if that happens, like late freezes, that kind of thing. This is American plum. This was actually a temporary planting, and I was going to move it, but then I forgot to move it in time, and it's too big to move now. But, you know, I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to look. This is under a power line. If you look up, you can see the power line up there. So we don't want to grow anything too tall, so that's why we don't plant any oaks or maples or anything like that right here because of the power lines. So we got to keep things short. So we got to keep an eye on this plum, make sure it doesn't get too tall, but shouldn't get too tall, but we're going to keep an eye on that. Over here is kind of like a new area. This is a 9-bark. It's a little baby right now, but it's coming out, it's leafing out. And there's another 9-bark there. There's another 9-bark there. And there's another arrowwood viburnum at the bottom of the hill. So, if you follow me, we will go into the garden. It is a very cold day. It is very windy. But I picked today because usually this is a very full sun garden. So usually the sun is just really harsh. So when you step into the garden, you'll see that I've left the seed heads up all winter. So that's so the birds can eat all winter long. And right here on the left we have some wild bergamot coming up. That's going to be a theme. I have a lot of that plant and will probably continue to have a lot of it. It thrives in my garden. And you can see kind of interspersed in here is oregano. That's not native, of course, but we have oregano. And then we have another non-native down here, which is Verbena bonariensis. That's what this is. And then we have a thornless blackberry up here. This thornless blackberry, this is the first year it's actually getting pretty big. So clearly it's a little bit big for this spot. So I might need to trim it. Maybe I can create some more from cuttings or something. We'll see. And then down here I have some I always forget what this is. It's some kind of sedum succulent type thing, but it's not native, I don't think. But it is just something I put in before I really got into the native gardening, and it's just kind of a nice little edge ground cover situation. And then over here, we have a lot of stems going on. This of course is Russian sage, and it's not native, but I put it in before I was really fully into the natives, and I still love it because it smells good and the pollinators love it. So for now I'm keeping it until, I don't know, I guess until I find something I want to replace it with. And then down here, way down here at the bottom, we've got mountain mint coming up through the garden bed, and its original home is right here in the garden bed, kind of further in next to the Russian sage. And you can see, since I've left the Russian sage stems up, it has created this nice winter interest all season long, and they are starting to come up. The Russian sage is starting to come back up from the base, the new branches, and they're even coming through the wood also. And then if you take a look in here, you can see a very neglected inkberry holly. All those stems on there are passion vine stems because I let the passion vine grow here, and it has draped over the inkberry holly. But the inkberry holly is still alive, so that's good because the other one died. I had two. So moving on, this is ironweed. Left the seed head up of that. Birds love the seeds of that as well. And if you move on down, I know it's really cold. How you doing? It's pretty cold. So we have more Verbena bonariensis down in there at the base of the stems. And over here we have a lovely set of yarrow. I actually found a weed, so I'm going to pull that out. Here we have yarrow, which I love. Some people say it's native, some people say it's not, so I'll let you decide that. I'm in East Tennessee, by the way. I meant to say that at the beginning of the video. And moving on this way, we have the stems of, the old stems of partridge pea. Partridge pea is a lovely little annual native plant, and I want you to see this up close. This is the seed pod after it's been sitting in the winter time, outside. The seed pod actually twists and turns into a spiral, which is really cool. I think that is so neat. I love that. Hopefully you can get to see. And it has this kind of red hue, a red-brown hue to it. I think it's really pretty. Okay, so next we have an invasive we need to talk about down here. So if you zoom in on this plant, they can see this is an invasive plant. This is the invasive bush honeysuckle. I'm going to have to dig that out with a shovel because it's probably too hard to just pull. So I've got to dig that up. And then you'll see all these little, let's pull some of this back. Yeah. Right here, you'll see these little leaves here. This is Carolina cranesbill. This is related to the Geranium maculatum, but I think it's Geranium carolinianum, if I'm not mistaken. It's smaller. The flowers are much smaller. The leaves are much smaller. But it's related to that. It's also native. And I did not plant it. It came up completely on its own, and it is one of my favorite early spring ground covers because it really does a good job in early and mid-spring. But it dies back, end of spring, early summer. So if you want to grow it, you're going to want something that will come up as it's going away. So just to keep that in mind. This, I think, is Canterbury bells, which is not native. This was something I grew probably circa 2019, maybe. I don't know, maybe 2020. I don't know. I grew it a few years back, but it's a biennial, so it probably seeded itself because I didn't grow it here, so I grew it in a different spot. And next to it we have a phlox. That's going to be a pink phlox. It's going to be pretty. And then next to that we have Verbena bonariensis there. That'll be throughout the garden. It's not native, but it is a butterfly attractor. And as we move on, some of this stuff's going to be hard to show because of all the stems, but if you just kind of peek through there, you'll see some mountain mint has seeded into here, or maybe I planted it, I can't remember. Some of this stuff took a while to come up. But mountain mint right there, to the left is more Verbena bonariensis again. And if you continue this way, you will see there's more phlox back there. And I forget what that's called. I think that's yellow iris. I think that's a non-native. And then if you come forward, this is my prairie meadow, whatever. There's a lot of natives in here, but you can't really see them right now. But Gara is one of them, and this is Gara right here. I also have blanket flower, butterfly weed, purple coneflower, partridge pea, what else? The mountain mint is back there. Landsleaf coreopsis. All that grows here. That's where all this is in the summer. It's gorgeous in the summer. I'd say early to midsummer is probably when this is popping off. And then in the fall and winter, the Gara, or at least the early winter, the Gara stems are red and really pretty. You've probably seen that if you watch my other videos. If you come forward this way, there's more Gara. This is also where butterfly weed should show up in a few months. And then coming this way, we have more of that Carolina cranesbill. And down here, a lot of our vigorous native plants, especially the tall ones for whatever reason, like to come up in this crack. So right here we have frostweed. And right next to it we have another frostweed, I think. And then over here we have ironweed. Way down in there, that's ironweed. So here is another non-native. This is cilantro. So if you like to cook with cilantro, then this would be, you would love this, I assume. I do not like the taste of cilantro. It tastes like soap for me. I'm one of those. Yeah, I know. One of those. But moving on over here, we have the lovely goldenrod. This is called Fireworks goldenrod. I thought I planted 3, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have at least 7. So either I had more than 3, and I just thought I had 3, or they seeded themselves decently. We'll see. And then this is where I started my garden. And when I started my garden, I did not know anything about native plants, and I didn't know anything about wildlife gardening. So when I started my garden, I started with salvia. So that's a salvia. I'm seeing some kind of thistle or dandelion I need to dig up next to it. But salvia there. And then I have bearded iris, daylilies, and a blue iris. I'm not sure what kind of blue iris that is. I don't know if it's native or not. Again, these were things I put in before I did the wildlife gardening. So, and it looks like we have an ironweed seedling there that I'm going to have to move because that's not going to be a good spot for that. So if you pan over there, you can see the peonies coming up. of course, they're not native. Another plant that I put in before I really got into this. And then next to it, you can see Gara. Now, I don't know what those little seed heads are. They kind of look like dandelions, but I don't recognize it. Maybe that's just dandelion. Yeah, I think there's dandelion in there. So I get a lot of dandelions. Oh, guess what? You guys, my liatris is coming up. Back here, I'm supposed to have 2 or 3 liatrices here. This one's coming up. I don't know if you can see it. It's green. It's right here. I'm going to be trying to move this though, because as you can see, it's at the back of the border because I went off of plant height, but unfortunately, you can't always go off plant height for that. So they really don't need to be in the back of the border. They really need to be closer to the front or middle of a border. So I'm going to be moving that one ASAP. So, yeah, those are actually, okay, those are growing pretty good. Okay, I'll go over here. I'm gonna do it this way. The hawthorn's coming out though. Okay, we'll start here. We'll just start here. Okay, so we are filming this in sections, and I really need to film over here because there's actually some stuff going on over here. So we have some beautiful violets down here. They are growing so well. There's some over there that look really good right now. We get a lot of a mix between the deep purple, and we also get white with like a purple center. So I love that. I'm sure there's some mixes in between those two, but those are the main two that I see here currently. This is called the Peninsula garden. This has the Washington hawthorn tree in the middle. The Washington hawthorn tree, I actually just got excited when we went around the corner because I saw that it is leafing back out. Step on this rock. It's leafing back out currently, and I was worried about it because I didn't know if it was going to be doing well this year. I thought it could have died over the winter or something, but it appears to be doing pretty good. It is starting to do its thing, and at the base of this I have lance-leaf coreopsis. I have lance-leaf coreopsis at the base. And I have Verbena bonariensis. And of course, lance-leaf coreopsis is native, but Verbena bonariensis is not native. And then, what else do I have? And then over here, I have a plant that I just started growing last year. It is beard tongue. It is penstemon. I forget which one, because I think I had planted foxglove beard tongue and pale beard tongue, and hopefully you can see which one I'm pointing to. I'm pointing to this one right here. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of hard to... There we go. But yeah, that is the penstemon there, and there's actually more back there. And there's another one right there. A tiny, 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 tiny one right there. And then, what else do I have? Over here, you can see there's a frostweed growing here. And some asters right here. Ooh, I want to show this over here. Are you able to walk through this? Can you, like, step here? Or maybe right there? Oh. Before I do that... Zoom in on this and this, because these plants right here, I don't know which one you're zooming in on. This right here is common milkweed. So this is the host plant for the monarch butterfly. We have them popping up. They actually spread underground by roots. So they have created, last year it was a beautiful drift of them. They didn't look great when fall came, but they looked really good in like June. So, and it was mostly foliage for me. I get some blooms sometimes on them, but not as much as a lot of other people do. So if you look over here, these plants here are gray-headed coneflower. Gray-headed coneflower. This is another native plant that is great for the pollinators. And I have multiples of those right here. So I have it here and here. And then I have another one there, which you don't have to zoom in on because that was really small. And then I have another penstemon there. A few penstemons over there. Another gray-headed coneflower. So this is a lot of gray-headed coneflowers, penstemons, Verbena bonariensis, asters, and then I have wild bergamot right there. And wild bergamot really stands out because it's just this very blue plant compared to everything around it is like green. So, alright, so let's go down here. And what's a good angle of this? The sun's kind of right there, so maybe... Okay. Yeah, so right here is one of our redbud trees. So I basically just call this the eastern end of the redbud, or east habitat hedge redbud. Anyway, we have one on this side, we have one on the other side. I'm going to show you in a minute, but at the bottom we have spiderworts, we have violets, we have asters, we have coneflower, we have Verbena bonariensis. Yeah, so that's what we have at the base. And then behind it we have arborvitaes, oakleaf hydrangea, hollies, and irises. And there are wild bergamots coming up behind here, and frostweed, and asters, and Carolina jessamine too. So, yeah. And then we have this cypress, which is not native. This is gold threadleaf cypress, I think. I think that's what that is. So, yeah. And then, let's see. Oh, yes. Look at all these violets right here. This is pretty. All these. And I have purple coneflower mixed with this. What else do I have? I have some obedient plant over here. Arborvitaes at the back. Buttonbush is not leafed out yet, but buttonbush is here. Beautyberry is here, and it's not leafed out yet either. And then more irises. And I guess we'll just show the other end of habitat hedge, because that's where the other really pretty stuff is happening right now. Okay, so on this end of habitat hedge, we have another redbud tree right here, which has blooms really coming out really nicely. And then we also have this American plum right here. We actually have 3 American plums, the redbud, and an elderberry. So that's what we've got going on here. We have this Eastern red cedar here, which we will have to trim. We have this Eastern red cedar here that we will need to trim because I don't want it to get huge. I want it to stay more like, I don't know, my height, maybe? So that's the goal. And then at the base we have some violets that are really looking cute right now. It's like a perfect little mound of violets right here. And I don't even know, I mean, I'm assuming I planted them here, but I don't remember planting them in this really pretty clump. And then there's one of my favorite mountain mints is here, waiting for the wind to die down. This mountain mint is called Hoary Mountain Mint. It is my favorite mountain mint currently. But it's growing there, and I don't know if you got a zoomed out of these, but I think that's really pretty. I don't know, is the sun, is the light, you can change the lighting if you need to. because that screen looks dark. It's hard to tell. And then over here, oh, it's so cold. Okay, it's very cool. Over here is the black cherry tree. This is a host for hundreds of butterflies. So it's second only to oak trees. Oak trees are number 1, cherries are number 2. And the American plums are in the cherry group. So I have American plums and I have this black cherry. We're hoping this will become our shade tree over the years. It's grown pretty quickly so far. And I love the bark of it. I love the branches and just how they look. I think they look really beautiful. And then at the base of this tree, I have some really cool things going on down here that I can't wait to show you. So I have, of course, some more of that Carolina geranium that volunteers in my garden. And then I've planted some columbine over here. So I have Aquilegia canadensis, wild columbine. And then I think that this is geranium maculatum, but I'm not sure because this was an accident. I think it came with the columbine. I thought I planted 3 columbines, but I think I actually planted 2 columbines, and I think the geranium came with it. And this is not this geranium. This is a different one, so I'm just kind of assuming that it's the wild geranium. And there's another columbine there, and then all of these, which I probably need to pull some of these out because they kind of went a little bit aggressive on me. These are the pink evening primroses. I think they're called pink ladies. That's what these are. But check this out. So over here we have some ebony spleenwort, but it's looking a little bit, it's coming back from the base because its old foliage is dying down right now, so it doesn't look like much at the moment. So you can't really see it probably on camera. But look in that basket. Look over there. That is mayapple. I'm going to just pop to the other side. This is what I'm so excited about because this is a spring ephemeral. And I don't really have spring ephemerals yet. Like, I'm just starting to add them, So the fact that they actually came up is so exciting to me. Now, granted, I planted 3 and only 2 are coming up at the moment. I don't know. I don't know if the 3rd one's going to come up later. I don't know if it just didn't make it. But either way, I'm just really excited to have mayaples. I think they're so cute. And I'll take this off for the video so you can actually get a better look at it. But yeah, they're so cute. Cute little woodland spring ephemeral plants. Love them. Hopefully they do well here. They're right under this black cherry tree, which the black cherry tree is finally starting to create shade when it leaves out. But as you can see right now, it's not fully leafed out. It's just barely starting to leaf out. So they're getting that spring sunshine, that early spring sunshine that they like to get. So I'm going to put this back on. And I do that because I'm trying to keep them protected from squirrels and chipmunks because I love my chipmunks, but I don't want them to dig up the mayaples. So just trying to protect them a little bit, at least this first couple years. Okay, so over here, this is the island bed. This is pretty much the crepe myrtle bed. Crepe myrtles are not native, but this was the first tree I ever planted in this garden because at the time I probably thought they were native, but quickly found out they were not. But you would see them in the neighborhood. You would see that they would grow well here, so that's why I chose it. So I put it in the middle of the garden. If I was starting my garden today, that's not the choice I would make, but it also holds sentimental value because my mom helped me pick it out and she helped me plant it. And she passed in 2020, so It's kind of in memory of her too. And look how tall it's gotten. It has gotten very tall, and I don't know, I just love seeing things grow tall above my head. I just love seeing when things can grow taller than me. And around this tree has been kind of a challenge. I struggle to grow things around it for some reason. Some things do grow, like bergamot grows under it. I have some asters under it. I have a purple coneflower at the back. And I have some thyme, not native, but you know, I have this culinary thyme or whatever you call it. But other than that, the only other thing that really sticks around are those pink lady evening primroses. So I've been trying to plant more things here, but it's kind of been a struggle. It's kind of been hard to get things to grow here. So far I have some new plants that are new maybe last year, which are the rudbeckia. So the rudbeckia like seeded itself here, and I moved some of it in the bed, and then I left that one on the edge. And I've planted a ton of seeds in here, and I've been trying to protect them with these grates, but you know, they don't keep everything completely protected, you know, it's just kind of hit and miss, but this has been a struggle. And I know there's a ton of weeds here, but this bed is, these weeds in particular, these spring and like late winter weeds, you pull them and they just, you pulling them creates this, like the seeds fly everywhere. You pull pull the weeds, the seeds go everywhere, and then more just pop up. So that's been a challenge. I might actually have to plant shrubs here because I just can't seem to get very many herbaceous things to grow here. So that'll probably be it for part 1. We'll probably do a part 2 on another day. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I think my favorite things right now are blooming things like the redbuds and the American plums. I think those are just gorgeous right now, and those are my favorite things to look at the moment. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. You all requested it, and it's finally here. Reduce Your Lawn shirts are now available in my brand new merch shop. Thanks so much for supporting the wildlife habitat we're creating. To support the channel, like the video, comment, and subscribe. You can also support my work by buying art from me at macylou.com. Thanks for watching!